The 2010s. Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar were widely considered the big three, the greatest hip-hop artists of our generation. Blogs, radio play, record sales, you name it, and they probably had it. A few years go by. The iPod Shuffle, along with YouTube to MP3, become Spotify charges, and debates ensue. Who would be the next big three? Is it Dave? Central C? Or is it Nav? The first brown boy to get it poppin'? It's likely that you'll get a different answer from different people. Why is that? I think the biggest factor in play here is the rise of micro-influencing, the exponential rise of social media presences between 10 and 50,000 followers, typically targeting a very specific niche. So, naturally, with more artists and songs available to us, along with the advent of streaming services like Spotify, we've allowed ourselves to be more selective. It's not the same blogs, radio stations, or record stores that push the big three that are telling us who we should be listening to, but rather it's an algorithm, a library of 1 million+ songs to choose from. And as the buffet expands, our palettes of preference evolve into distinct and niche tastes. We say yes to us. And this is a two-way street because young artists such as myself have experienced more potential for success as there are more and more opportunities available to us to create and put our art into the world. I dropped my album, Far From Full, in August of 2023. Since then, I've gained over 100,000 streams, landed a Spotify editorial playlist placement, performed in front of 15,000, and penned a Microsoft editorial. Out of every publication focusing solely on music, where did Microsoft come from? All sorts of industries. It's because while I was doing all this, as opposed to 15, I also had the privilege of interning at the company. And these are not two different mutually exclusive things that I'm doing, but rather they've come together to form the foundation of my pursuit. See, just like our taste in music developed with more of it at our disposal, why can't we say yes to ourselves with the more opportunities and fewer barriers to entry there are in various industries as opposed to 15, 10, even 5 years ago? But it's not just me. Look around you. In between these campus walls, it's not uncommon to discover business students with a passion for music, painting, photography, real estate, flipping houses, chess day, oh, getting jacked. And in artist communities, you're just as likely to find the guy who's like, that's cool, but man like me, I ain't working no 9 to 5. Who in reality could have developed the grit and spirit to kill it anywhere they go and end up selling themselves short. My point here is that we're all multifaceted, and the only thing stopping us from our artistic or professional pursuits and doing it all at the same time, giving it all an honest shot, is our self-imposed limitations. So get to it. Write that book and record that song, flip that house, but I get it. It's not that easy. Never that easy. Lo kya kenge? Meaning, what will people say? I have Asian parents. I understand the stigma around pursuing something like music, but then again, lo kya kenge? Like, I was the notorious SoundCloud rapper in high school, and you bet I was called out for it. And not to mention, we may not have access to all the same resources that a Jaden Smith or Shah Rukh Khan's kids have. Need I say more, but as humans, we have a risk aversion bias, a heuristic that causes us to choose the safer option when provided with the choice between that and something riskier with a higher payout. In other words, we'll do whatever it takes to not take the L. Lo kya kenge? But we need to reframe this. I think the bigger risk is when we don't take that risk. Consider the cost of not capitalizing on an opportunity that's right in front of you. When regret sets in, outweighs the benefits of giving it a shot. You'll never know what's right for you until you try. And my point is that it's a lot easier to try in this day and age. And that can look different for different people. Start with what you can. Start with what you can. Contrary to popular belief, I experienced the most growth when I didn't feel the need to finish everything I started. In other words, the need to put something out. Who says we can't make art and exercise different opportunities available to us just for us? Speaking of J. Cole, he puts it best in his song Heaven's EP, where he raps, "From this day forward, I move with a new ferocity. Success is in the effort, so if I tried my hardest, I'm at peace knowing that this wasn't dealt in this group of cards for me." Embracing our multifaceted selves, embracing our multifacetedness doesn't mean we have to be successful at everything. The act of trying may just be the seeds for personal growth and a broader perspective in whatever we choose to do. It spills over, and in a few ways. See, I was 14 when I recorded my first song. It was called Life in a Nutshell. Apparently, I knew everything about life, and I thought it would be right up there. I'm thinking like the billboards go, number 1, Drake. I can respect that. Number 2, Lil Yachty. All right, no complaints. Number 3, your boy, me, except like 14 years old. See, I was humble. I could have put myself at 1 or 2, but I chose 3. But alas, even that was a fantasy that played in my head. So anyways, I dropped this song, super gassed, link in bio. Check out my SoundCloud. So I pulled up to school the next day, and everyone hated it. And I got hated on for it. To be fair, I revisited the song the other day, and I kind of get it. My level of confidence did not make sense relative to how good the song was by any means. But from that, the outcome was that I learned how to handle criticism and became hyper aware that I would only keep people around me who understood me and my intentions. And if they were to call me out, it was in a constructive enough way so that I could improve. And so I kept at it. I dropped song after song after song after song. I'm getting better. The billboard is getting closer. It's not. With more opportunities, there are always more people putting their work out. The market is saturated. You're done. Micro-influencing. When a market reaches saturation, we begin to develop niche tastes. There's less space in the market, that's true, but there's more of a market to be ourselves. There's always a market to be yourself. People appreciate honesty. Real stories coming from real people. We need to shift our focus from the result to the outcome, the bigger picture, when examining the viability of pursuing something that we care about. So how do we do this? We can start by identifying what exactly it is that we care about and truly care about. Ground zero. Is it personal growth? The act of expressing ourselves through an outlet? Money? Success in numbers? Whatever gets you going, that's not for me to decide. Now, let's examine the number of unique opportunities as well as those potential outcomes that can help enable that pursuit that we have today as opposed to 15, 10, even 5 years ago. So, let's run this back. I dropped my album, Far From Full, in August of 2023. Hold up, look. A while back, it would take a record deal, access to a studio, the network of living in a major music hub, connections to distribution companies to simply drop an album. I did it with my laptop in Brampton and on every single streaming service imaginable. That's the effect of technology, and it just was not possible 10 years ago. I'd have to give it up right there. Then I'd stated that I'd gained over 100,000 streams. This is without a record label. I mainly marketed it using meta ads to hit a target audience. Again, impossible without that resource. Performed in front of 15,000. You would need industry connections, right? I simply connected with the promoters through Instagram. And lastly, penned a Microsoft editorial. And I wrote it about how pursuing music made me more resilient, taught me how to express myself, think outside the box, and how it was those skills that landed me that internship. Everyone always asks me, oh, did you rap in the interview? I did not rap in the interview. I said yes to myself, as there were more opportunities and fewer barriers to entry in all sorts of industries as opposed to 15, 10, even 5 years ago. But it's not just me. Innovation equals opportunity. LinkedIn is an innovation in the networking world. A friend of mine had set her sights on Tesla, made the right connections, built her network, and landed the job she wanted. The brown boy himself, Nav, recorded Myself, which is a multi-platinum record, on a $100 microphone. And keep in mind, this is Canadian dollars, so like 2 USD, tops. Rich Brian is an English-speaking rapper from Indonesia, signed to 88 Rising, and he learned English, get this, by watching YouTube videos. As someone born in the early 2000s, I speak for all of us when I say that YouTube was another set of parents. From How to Be Ninja by Ryan Higa, Desi Parents and Technology by Just Rain, all the way to resume building, how to write and record your own music, you can learn anything. Did you know that Bill Gates was one of the only students with access to a computer in the 1960s? And it was only because he went to school at Harvard. See, he would practice coding for hours on end when nobody else had the opportunity to do so. Malcolm Gladwell writes that we look at Bill Gates, marvel, how do we allow a 13-year-old to become famous and successful? But that's the wrong lesson. Our world only allowed one 13-year-old unlimited access to a computer of that caliber in '68. And if 1 million teenagers had been given the same opportunities, how many more Microsofts would we have? What's crazy is this passage was written more than a decade ago, and today, it's a reality. These opportunities do exist. 2024. There's no longer a big three for the same reason. I'm a recording artist, but that's when I'm recording music. I'm a business student, but that's when I'm studying business. By saying yes to us, we're simply reinforcing the fact that we're individuals first and foremost, and not people restricted to the label of what we choose to do. And we're all unique. So say yes to cold LinkedIn messaging the hiring manager. Say yes to buying the cheapest microphone you can find, recording your work, putting it out. Say yes to learning a language on YouTube. Because it's more viable to say yes to your multifaceted self than ever before. Thank you.